What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It's 1TS Daily right here on One True Sport for Thursday, June 13th, 2024. I'm your host. I'm Zack Heydorn here with you every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to talk the news of the week, the news of the day in professional wrestling with you. I'm pumped to be here. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in on Twitter. Appreciate it. And we've got a lot to cover today, so we'll get right into it here in just 1 second. If you haven't checked out the show before, we're here every single day, 11 Eastern, to talk about the news in the week in wrestling. We cover it all. We cover WWE, we cover AEW, Impact, NXT, New Japan, all sorts of wrestling stuff. If it's newsworthy, we're talking about it on the show, and we're talking about it with you. The fun of this show is interacting back and forth, me to you, you to me, you to each other. So the comment section is open, our live chat is open, and our super chats are open as well. If you want to get a question in about any topic in professional wrestling, any topic at all, drop it in there. And if you can drop it in as a super chat with a contribution, that'd be much appreciated. Those contributions help out the show. They help out 1TS Daily. They help out One True Sport. So thank you in advance if you can do that. If you are interested in more on One True Sport, head over to onetruesport.com. You can become a member there, and you can get all the perks of what we do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Tremendous shows with top-tier legends of the professional wrestling business, Arn Anderson, Kurt Angle, and way, way more. So check that out. It's onetruesport.com. There's a variety of different membership tiers that you can hit and explore, and I hope that you do, because boy, you really are missing out if you don't. So head over there right now. If you want more of what I do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, you can find me and my work at my shop, Brass Ring Media. We are almost a year old. Brass Ring Media is almost a year old, and we pride ourselves on long-form coverage of current event pro wrestling happenings. So we talk strictly current event stuff for the most part, 90%. But we've got a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. We've got a Substack newsletter that you can subscribe to. Both of those are free. And I think you'd really enjoy it. If you like this show, what we do at Brass Ring Media is a really cool extension of this show here. And you get even more in-depth coverage and analysis on all the happenings. We got a big weekend ahead of us with WWE Clash at the Castle, and we'll be covering all that at Brass Ring Media, of course. So give us a follow over there if you want to just check us out for free. Again, we're free on YouTube. We're also free on Substack. So I encourage you to do so. We're giving away a one free watch of TNA Against All Odds on Friday. Totally free to watch that show if you enter to win by following us on Twitter. So go to brassring_media on Twitter. You'll see our contest there. Enter and you can win. Cool. All right. Let's get to some news. Let's get to some pro wrestling talk. Let's get to some fun. Let's get to why we're here. What's up, Liam? In the live chat right now, Liam says, "Morning, Zach. Nice cap." Yes, thank you. Got to sport my Broken Skull Ranch cap. I am the author of Stunning the Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. That book came out in May, guys. And if you haven't checked that out already, I hope that you do. It's on Amazon right now. It's a really cool project with Jonathan Snowden and the team at Hybrid Shoot. And it's there for you. Pick it up. I think you really like it. It's a book about the artistry of Steve Austin's career. And so, I figured I sport the Broken Skull Ranch hat today for that. So good looking out, Liam. Glad you saw that, and glad you're with me, man. Glad you're here today. Hello to everybody else who's watching us live, who's in the live chat, and once again, hello to everybody else on Twitter. Okay, let's dive right in because we do have a lot to cover. Let's talk a little AEW Dynamite first. I thought last night overall was a pretty good show for AEW. All things considered. You kind of go into that show and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, like there's some random matches on this that are probably going to be good, but nothing they were promoting screamed like intense storyline development, right? Or like anything big in terms of narrative or really anything all that newsworthy. To be frank, it just didn't have that, and I think the show itself, from a ratings perspective, you kind of understood why Tony Khan would book a show that way yesterday specifically, because you had loads of competition with the NBA Finals, and so it's like, all right, are we really going to load up this show when we know that we're going to have trouble, kind of getting viewers, but also retaining viewers throughout. So you understand why it wasn't all that newsworthy of a card going into the show. But kind of like after it's done, you look back on that show and there were two key things, two key news elements that came out of that I think are noteworthy and worthy of our time to discuss. The first one is the interaction between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. I mean, talk about like top-notch work from two of your top guys that are set to collide in a few weeks on pay-per-view. I mean, you start off with Swerve Strickland. They promoted Classic AEW. We're going to hear from Swerve Strickland. And he opens up the show and he cuts just a awesome promo. I mean, man, when you go back and listen to that promo, it was confident, but also like a little dark, a little twisted. He just, the way he delivered it was like calculated and a little cold, but also, very much likable at the same time, where you're listening to your champion talk about defending the title and doing anything that it takes to retain it. And I thought Swerve Strickland really struck the right tone with how he talked about that match in particular, but also Will Ospreay as an opponent. Will Ospreay, he didn't run down the opponent like MJF did last week. He built Ospreay up and very much put himself on a pedestal with Will Ospreay with that opening promo. So there was that piece of it. Then you had the show closing angle with Swerve and Ospreay, and that like just took the intensity of Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door and just shot it through the roof. I mean, both those guys in the ring together, they're stealing the belts from one another, but not in like a kiddie kind of I'm gonna annoy you kind of way, but almost in a disrespectful yet respectful kind of way. The facial expressions on both these guys were fantastic. They both seemed like they respected the other, but that they wanted to beat the other, and that they weren't going to kind of renege on their alpha nature and wanting to be the best. Like, this hit all the right marks. This built tension. You could cut the tension in that ring with a knife. This built intrigue. Their interaction, showcased and showed off the stakes that were on the line with the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. And then you had that final shot of Swerve in Ospreay's ear telling him like, hey, you're lucky we're friends, or else anybody else that would have done that to me, I would have dropped right then and there. And that was just like the final layer of just intense intrigue that you wanted going into this. And I think it was such an important night for this feud, because look, let's call a spade a spade. Tony Khan went to this match quickly. He did. I mean, he pulled the trigger on this fast, and we don't know why yet. We don't know if he's got other plans for All In the rest of this summer, or he's just striking while the iron is hot with both these guys. I kind of commend him for going with it, because a lot of times when you look at the history of AEW, there's a lot of big time matches between stars that we didn't get because, he held off. And here, they're going right to it. But when you do that, and when you decide to like get this thing, on the track and do this on pay-per-view in just, 3-4 weeks time, you need to make sure that you treat it like a really big deal and that you give it time to breathe on air so that people are interested and so that people want to buy the pay-per-view, so that by the time the bell rings and they're standing in the middle of the ring, people are salivating at the notion of this dream match in AEW actually taking place. And up until this point, I don't think he did enough. Like, they didn't do enough to kind of establish, all right, okay, these two guys are fighting, but why and what does it mean to each other? That has not been established. And now it has. Now it has. And so it just helped the whole show to have this go the way that it did yesterday. And I think if you're Tony Khan now, you can't sit back and do nothing, but you can build on, the tension. You can build on the tension that you set here. If I'm Tony Khan too, I'm looking at my talent. I'm looking at Swerve Strickland. I'm looking at Will Ospreay. And I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys who I'm paying good money to delivered when I needed them to most. Like, they stepped up. And that's what you need big stars to do. Like, I think about, I don't know why this crossed my mind. Maybe because of, the book. And so I'm constantly thinking about Steve Austin stuff. But I think about the Austin Mike Tyson initial interaction back before WrestleMania 14, right? And you had Austin. He was really hot, and he was the guy that WWF and Vince McMahon were going to go with. And you bring in Mike Tyson, this big kind of boxing celebrity guy that grabs a lot of eyeballs. And for the first time, you're going to put Austin in a situation where you really need him to hit a home run. You need him to show why he's a big star. You need him to deliver like a big star. And Austin did in that moment, in that first interaction with Tyson, where he essentially challenges Mike Tyson to a fight, right? He delivered, and Vince needed him to deliver in that moment. It had to be a home run. It had to be a hit. And Vince had to trust that Austin could bring it, and he did. Now, I'm not saying that Will Ospreay and Sir Strickland were on that level, this week, but it was a similar dynamic of Tony Khan needing these guys, needing two of his top guys on an important show ahead of an important pay-per-view to deliver in the moment, to do business in the right way and in an important way. And if I were Tony Khan, I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled how they came through for him and really stepped up to the plate and acted like big stars that knew what was on the line, that knew what was important, that knew the job at hand and what had to be accomplished with the segment, and delivered. That's what you want out of your stars. That's what you want out of your stars. You don't want, you can't have them miss sometimes. Sometimes you need your big stars to come through and hit a home run when you need them to. And I think Swerve and Will Ospreay did that yesterday for Tony Khan. Let me know what you guys thought of that stuff, of those two guys, in the comments and in the live chat. I appreciate the back and forth, but want to hear your thoughts too. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you team Will Ospreay or are you team Swerve Strickland? You can drop that in there as well, and we can have some fun with that too. Liam here says, I started reading that book last night. Purchased it on Kindle. Really enjoying it so far. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I really do. I hope you continue to like it and recommend it to a friend at the same time. It's available on Amazon right now. So appreciate you, Liam. Thanks. Andrew says, hot shot. I'm assuming, Andrew, you mean Tony Khan hot shotting Swerve versus Will Ospreay? Yeah, a little bit. I think that's a fair assessment. But at the same time, I think it's good that you go there and do it and don't wait. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Andrew also says, stop it. Ospreay all day. No patience. Damn shame. Swerve is talented. Man, Yeah. I mean, look, Ospreay has just been a shining beacon of hope and light for AEW since he came in. I mean, it's a shame that he can't be on more often because he's coming in from the UK, although he is on television quite a bit. So props to him on that. But he's a guy that just I think can be synonymous with the AEW brand and company and promotion. I mean, he's everything that promotion wants to be, like crazy in ring, kind of indie guy turned superstar, and now he's found a voice on the mic too. So it's like he's the perfect guy to go with. And so if I'm Tony Khan, and I've said this a lot on my Brass Ring Media shows, like I'm hitching the wagon to Will Ospreay for sure. But Swerve is really talented, and so if I'm Tony Khan, like I think I'm sitting back here. I'm not making any decisions about any kind of finish until probably until a few days before. I think I want to see these guys go at it. I want to see who comes out on top in my eyes in terms of perception, and then make a decision on the finish. That's what I do for Forbidden Door. Andrew continues on here. He says, I think he's larger than the promotion. His talent transcends the company. Yeah, man. I mean, well, Ospreay's really good. He's really good. I don't know that he's larger than the promotion yet. I want to see Tony Khan book Will Ospreay in a way that makes him a bigger star 6 months from now than he is right now. That's the one thing we haven't seen from Tony Khan yet in terms of his booking, like creating a star, not just bringing in a star that they have and that's where he's at, but bringing him in and making him a bigger star because he's in AEW, because he's under the AEW banner. We need to see Tony Khan do that. This has to be like a Hulk Hogan thing where, Ospreay is synonymous with Tony Khan, who's synonymous with AEW. Like, that's what it has to be. And so I don't think he's at that point yet. So I don't know that he's larger than the promotion, Andrew, but he's certainly somebody that could be relatively soon. Thanks for the comment, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening and watching live. So the other major happening on last night's show, which was kind of snuck in at the beginning and snuck in at the end, but Blood and Guts is set. They will be having a Blood and Guts match in July, the end of July, and it will be the Elite versus Team AEW again. It'll be Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, Kazuchika Okada, Jack Perry, and then another opponent against 5 people from Team AEW. And presumably, because this segment and the match was announced with the Young Bucks opposite Swerve Strickland, it seems that Swerve Strickland will be a part of that. And so, look, I like this announcement for a couple different reasons. One, I think it's a logical place to go for Blood and Guts this year, and that is an event that draws for AEW Dynamite. And so, look, you're a month and a half out now from the show. Build it up, and they've already done that. They've already started that. The story's already rolling, so it makes sense to continue going and using that environment and using that show to further the feud, and maybe even put an end to the feud. However, there are 2 things that I caution AEW. Well, hold on. There's one other thing that I really liked about what they did last night. I like how Swerve Strickland as AEW World Champion is the guy that is, leading the Team AEW, especially as a babyface in the company. He's the guy that is kind of carrying the load of, at least for right now, putting together Team AEW against the Elite. And I think that's a good dynamic. And they've set that up from the very beginning with this Young Bucks power struggle thing, But from the moment that the Bucks kind of made Christian Cage an opponent for Swerve Strickland on pay-per-view, the Swerve Bucks kind of rivalry, was coming into form. And this is a way to continue that. And And this is a way to kind of pay that off. So I'm glad that you have your babyface world champion as the face of the company. Like that's good. That's a good spot for him. And I think he's going to do well in that arena. Now, that said, I will caution AEW on two things here. Number one, the Acclaimed cannot be anywhere near this match. All right? That's final. Look, if you want to do the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed in a tag team title match or something on TV, and that match is next week, fine. That works. Go right ahead. That makes sense. It's a match that the Young Bucks can win. It's a clear heel versus clear babyface. Thumbs up. All right? That's good. That match is announced for next week. You can't have this thing go on any further, though, because the Acclaimed are just not in a position where they should be near a top angle like this. Like I'm sorry, but it just can't be. And Andrew says, "All right, now we're gonna fight." It's not that I don't like the Acclaimed. I just don't think that this is like in the arena of their of where they're at on the show. Like they're not in this place. This would be like Awesome Truth, squeezing their way into a War Games match with the Bloodline. Just no. Like you may like Awesome Truth, but there's no way that they should be involved in that type of thing. And the same thing here with the Acclaimed. Now, the other caveat here in terms of giving Blood and Guts a thumbs up, you got to put some stakes behind this. There has to be some kind of reason that these guys are going to almost kill each other in this match. Is it for control of Dynamite? Is it for control of the company? Because yesterday on the show, Tony Khan was just making decisions. So if he's just making decisions, like what threat are the Elite to the company? There's a hole in that story. And stakes for this match will help kind of fill that hole with duct tape or something, like cover it up for a little while. Like you got to give these two teams a reason to wrestle. So I think that means you have to have the Young Bucks antagonize Tony Khan again. Even though they've already been there and done that, like they have to create havoc in some way so that this match can mean something more than just, okay, we're going to fight each other. Make it matter, make it mean something. Come on. Like you've got plenty of time. You've got heels that the audience cares about. You've got baby faces on the other side that the audience cares about. Like go for it. Put a story here. And put some stakes here. And I think that will help drive further interest in this match altogether. I really believe that, and I think that's where we had like the stadium anarchy in the arena thing just didn't really. I don't know. It just didn't really land because it just didn't have stakes. It didn't mean anything. You didn't have anything on the line that people were very, very interested in seeing play out. And that's where that match missed. So don't make the same mistake again. Why? Don't do it. It makes no sense. Stakes. But Blood and Guts is set end of July on AEW Dynamite. All right, let's take a look at TNA. TNA, I guess it's TNA Impact is what the show is officially called for tonight. TNA is advertising a couple different things that are pretty interesting. The System is going to visit the Hardy compound. Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus Nick and Ryan Nemeth in a match. Mike Santana versus Zachary Wentz will take place. Masha Slamovich against Marty Bell. Danny Luna versus Tasha Steelz. And then Ash by Elegance is going to be in action as well. So this is the final, go home show for Against All Odds, which is going to be tomorrow night, Friday night on Impact Plus and Triller. You can catch that. As I mentioned at the start of the show, we're giving away a free watch of that show at Brass Ring Media. So you can check that out. Like go over. Whoop. Let's see. How do I do this? Boop. brassring_media on Twitter. You can figure out how to enter to win. It's really easy, simple. But if you want to watch that show, you can. So interesting go home show. Like I a couple weeks ago, or last week, I guess on this show, I praised TNA for kind of being ready for Jordynne Grace fallout coming out of NXT. And here I have to go backwards on that. It's like you had Jordynne Grace on NXT, big pay-per-view just a few days ago, Sunday night, and now she's not on your show. The fallout of that. You're not taking advantage of that. So that, look, I know they pre-tape these things, and I know that is, that's an issue, and that always is going to be an issue. But man, like, come on, like, I don't know, got to be smarter than that. Jordynne Grace is like the biggest star in your company right now. Why not? Why is she not heavily promoted on the go home show for the big event, coming up on Friday? TNA is going to TNA sometimes. TNA is going to TNA. So yeah, so that's the show. I mean, not a ton here from a match perspective that I think is notable. So it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a weak go home show that doesn't really have much at all to do with the event tomorrow. And we'll preview that event tomorrow. We'll also preview Clash of the Castle tomorrow right here on 1TS Daily. So you guys can look forward to that. Hopefully join me tomorrow, 11 Eastern, for that. Okay, as we always do, 1TS Daily Nuggets, news nuggets for Thursday, June 13th, 2024. So first one, the WWE has filed a very interesting trademark that you can pay attention to. This is per SE Scoops. Okay. I want to read this perfectly here. Let's see. They have filed a trademark for Talatanga. And so what does that mean to you guys? To me, it means another member of the new bloodline. That's what I would think. Talatanga, I mean, it makes total sense that, whether it's Jacob Fatu or whether this is Hikuleo, yep, as Liam just mentioned, Liam and I are on the same page. Could it be Hikuleo's new name? Yeah, it could. It definitely could. I mean, Jacob Fatu, it could be him too. I mean, there's been rumors and indications that he's coming in to WWE as well. So we'll have to see, but this is interesting. It's an interesting turn of events. And I think it's an interesting just kind of nugget to pay attention to. We could be seeing another addition to the new bloodline, and even more for even more oomph into that storyline. All right. Also, I want to get to another story here. CM Punk. There's CM Punk news. He has inked and signed a new deal with the Paradigm Talent Agency. So he's got a new agency. Deadline is reporting that Punk signed with Paradigm for representation in all areas. So that's everything. That's for wrestling, and that's also outside of wrestling stuff. I think Punk has always wanted to do some things outside of the wrestling industry and the wrestling business. So, this is a good move for him. It's an interesting move, though. Like, you'd think that CM Punk, if he was going to want some of these like outside of WWE and outside of wrestling opportunities, that you'd sign with Endeavor, right? Who is the parent company of TKO, who owns WWE essentially. So it's interesting that he went a different route. But maybe there is just like a conflict of interest there or something, in which, I don't know what the legal ramifications of that are. So maybe there is that, but yeah, that's interesting. And so maybe we're going to see more of CM Punk out in the wild these days. All right, you guys, that's a wrap. that's a wrap for our show here today. This has been 1TS Daily. I'm Zack Heydorn. Check us out. Check out my work at Brass Ring Media. We're live all throughout the week on our YouTube channel. I hope you do. It's just search Brass Ring Media YouTube or Brass Ring Media in Substack for our written content, and you get all sorts of long-form analysis of pro wrestling. You don't want to miss it. So Brass Ring Media. Also head over to OneTrueSport.com, and that is where you can find all of our membership opportunities here at One True Sport. Don't wait. We've got so many cool things happening over there. You don't want to miss it. We've got just top-notch stuff, strong perks, a lot of different entry points. So you can get in the door. And so I encourage you to do so. OneTrueSport.com. Join. If you can help us out, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and we will be back tomorrow, 11 Eastern. And we got a big show tomorrow, too. A couple major events to preview, news to hit. We've got it all. 11 Eastern, same time, same place, right here on 1TS Daily. I'm Zack Heydorn. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good day. See ya.